I reviewed a lot of movies and video games on my blog in 2023 and recently made a short series adapting those reviews into video format. So I thought it might be an idea to look back on all the titles I reviewed and rank them, sort them by the rating I gave them on a scale from 1 to 10. But first I'm going to do a quick round of best and worst, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. I'll be picking out my single favorite and least favorite example in a number of categories, specifically the same categories I came up with in my videos. So I hope you enjoy, and let me know some of your favorite movies or video games you saw or played in the past year. In the meantime, let's get started. The first video I made covered the Metroid series. For me, the best is Super Metroid. Like I said at the time, not only the best of the series, but one of my favorite games of all time. Worst, Metroid Other M, the only one I didn't bother buying because of its bad reputation. Watching a long play revealed that I was right to be cautious. My second video comprised not all but many of the licensed LEGO games. Best, LEGO Jurassic World. Like I said in the review, it's the closest I've come to considering buying one of these games. Worst, this was a tough one because there wasn't really a clear loser. I thought they were all just okay. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go with the LEGO Movie 2 video game. Next, the Soulsborne games from FromSoftware. Best, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, the only one that I can honestly say I liked. Worst, please don't crucify me, but the least appealing to me was Elden Ring. I know. Hear me out. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's not. Like I said, it just didn't appeal to me very much. From what I understand, a lot of people would say Dark Souls 2 is the worst. But bear in mind, I wasn't actually playing these games. I was watching long plays to see if I'd be interested in playing them, like I have with many other games, some of which we'll be getting to later. And from what I saw, I was mostly just indifferent to Dark Souls 2. But Elden Ring had the added frustration of how much everyone else loves it, but how I just couldn't get into it. And to me, being frustrating is a far greater offense than simply being underwhelming. So if you love these games, go ahead and continue to love them. Just don't act like it's wrong for me not to. Maybe someday in the future I will actually play these games myself to see if getting the full experience changes my mind about them. But yeah, at the moment, except for Sekiro, not a fan. Are we good? Okay, moving on. Our next category is the first one I discussed in my big 2023 marathon video, the movies I saw in the cinema in 2023. Best, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, although Godzilla Minus One gave it a serious run for its money. Worst, Meg 2, The Trench. Next up, other 2023 movies that I watched at home. Best, Nimona, which is also in my top 3 favorite movies of the year. Worst, M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. I know a lot of people like that movie, but I just couldn't look past the Shyamalan silliness that we've come to expect by now. Next, older movies I watched at home. Let me emphasize that this is just the ones I saw for the first time and therefore reviewed in 2023. Otherwise, my favorite movie of all time, 12 Angry Men, would have been an easy fit for the top spot when I rewatched it with my family in January. So, best, Star Trek First Contact. It was a toss-up between that and House of Wax, the 1953 version, not the 2005 one. Worst, hands down, Syriana. It was the only movie this year that I gave a 1 out of 10, which makes it not only the worst movie in this bunch, but one of my least favorite movies of all time. Next is the first video game category, not focusing on a particular series. As I mentioned earlier, I sometimes watch long plays to see if I'd be interested in playing the game myself. So first, let's look at the games where I wasn't convinced by what I saw. Best, Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate HD. The only reason why I didn't buy this one was because I wasn't as sold on the other 2 Lords of Shadow games. Although after watching them again for the sake of that video, I think I might change my mind about that. Worst, aside from Metroid Other M, Final Fantasy VIII. I also didn't like Bastion, but that's a very unusual case because I did actually try to play the game myself, so in a way it doesn't count. It's complicated, see my review for full details. Now for the games where I did like what I saw in the long play. Best, Earthbound. This was definitely my biggest surprise because from what I knew about the game beforehand, I did not go into this one with high hopes, but it turned out to be one of the best games I've ever come across. Worst, A Hat in Time. It still looks like fun to play, but it's so bizarre that I was never truly drawn into it. And finally, the games I already owned without the need of a preview. This is also the only group I actually was playing myself. Best, Animal Crossing New Horizons, although I also loved Super C and Contra Hard Corps for obviously very different reasons. Worst, the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes. Still a good game, in fact for a while it was my favourite of the Dark Pictures series, just not as good as the others I played. So that's all the different categories. Best movie overall that I saw this year? Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Worst? Syriana. Best game overall? Earthbound. Worst? Metroid Other M. So there you have it, my favourite and least favourite games and movies in a few different groups. Now it's time to look at everything in between. This is every title I reviewed in 2023, arranged by rating from lowest to highest. And keep in mind, this is just my own opinion. This is just how much I enjoy these games and movies. If you disagree, that's fine. You're free to have your own opinion. Like I said before, just don't freak out and act like mine is wrong. Let's do movies first. This list includes both films from 2023 and earlier years. They're all graded on the same scale. Starting right at the bottom in 1 out of 10. Like I said before, there was only one movie that scored that low. Syriana. There are no movies that I gave 2 out of 10, so moving up to 3 out of 10, again there's only one. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Now for the movies that I gave a 4 out of 10. Down to Earth, Haunted Mansion, Knock at the Cabin, Legion of Superheroes, Meg 2, The Trench, 65, Star Trek Nemesis, and The Van. Moving up to the movies in the 5 out of 10s here, which is basically the lower end of meh. We have Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, Beau is Afraid, Congo, The Creator, Elemental, Evil Dead Rise, House of a Thousand Corpses, John Wick Chapter 4, Justice League Warworld, The Killer, Magic Mike's Last Dance, The Marvels, Mavka the Forest Song, Napoleon, Polite Society, Renfield, Scrapper, Sisu, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Star Trek Insurrection, The Super Mario Bros. Movie, Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and Wish. Next are the movies in 6 out of 10, which is basically me shrugging and going, not bad. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, Asteroid City, The Blackening, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, The Dive, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Happy Gilmore, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Infinity Pool, Killers of the Flower Moon, Mystery of the Wax Museum, No Hard Feelings, Star Trek Generations, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, Three from Hell, Thanksgiving, and Wonka. Now we're moving up to the ones I gave a 7 out of 10, which means I think they're good. There's Air, The Andromeda Strain, Barbie, The Boy and the Heron, Creed 3, The Devil's Rejects, Dream Scenario, Extraction 2, A Good Person, Missing, Past Lives, Pearl, Plane, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Saltburn, Sound of Freedom, Talk to Me, and Totally Killer. Now for the ones that earned an 8 out of 10 from me, which means very good. Dumb Money, Godzilla -1, House of Wax, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Nimona, Oppenheimer, Star Trek First Contact, Suzume, and Tetris. There were no movies that I rated 9 or 10 this year, although that probably says more about how jaded I've become than the quality of the movies themselves. After all, my ratings are based on my own personal enjoyment level rather than any sort of technical qualities. Still, even if there were no movies that I happen to love so much that I gave them a 9 or higher, an 8 out of 10 is nothing to be sniffed at. And now it's the video games' turn. I'm only counting the ones whose reviews I actually wrote in 2023, so all the Metroid games before Prime 3 won't be included here. The same goes for the first LEGO game I looked at, LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga. That review was written towards the end of 2022 and included in the video just for the sake of completion. Now, the lowest rating I gave a game this year was 3 out of 10, and again, there's only one, Metroid Other M. One step higher, in 4 out of 10, we have 3 games, Bastion, Final Fantasy VIII, and Lollipop Chainsaw. Now for the 5 out of 10 ones. Now, remembering what I said earlier about the From Software games, I'll put an asterisk next to a couple of these to indicate that for them, this rating is only temporary, pending an actual playthrough from me. Astral Chain, Avatar the Game, Bloodborne, Castlevania Lords of Shadow, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy X-2, The Last Story, LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 to 4, LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 to 7, LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, the LEGO Movie 2 video game, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, LEGO The Hobbit, LEGO The Incredibles, Okami, and Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Now for the games I gave a 6 out of 10. Again, you'll see a few asterisks here. Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition, Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition, Final Fantasy X, A Hat in Time, The Legend of Dragoon, LEGO Batman the video game, LEGO Batman 2 DC Superheroes, LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, LEGO Indiana Jones The Original Adventures, LEGO Indiana Jones 2 The Adventure Continues, LEGO Jurassic World, LEGO Marvel Superheroes, LEGO Marvel's Avengers, the LEGO Movie video game, LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean the video game, LEGO The Lord of the Rings, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, Peter Jackson's King Kong, Red Dead Redemption 2, Returnal, and Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. And now we get to the games I gave 7 out of 10. The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate HD, Contra 3 The Alien Wars, the Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes, the Dark Pictures Anthology The Devil in Me, Final Fantasy IX, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, Jurassic World Evolution 2, Live Alive, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Pandora's Tower, Prey, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Sly Raccoon, aka Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly 2 Band of Thieves, Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves, Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, and Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. One step higher in 8 out of 10, we have The Somnium Files, AM2R Return of Samus, Citizen Sleeper, Cyber Shadow, Dust and Elysian Tale, Freedom Planet 2, Mario Kart Double Dash, Metroid Samus Returns, The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, Stray Gods the Role-Playing Musical, and Wolfenstein 3D. And finally, the 9 out of 10 ones. I love these games. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Contra Hard Corps, Cuphead, Earthbound, Metroid Dread, and Super C. Well, there you are. That's everything I reviewed in the calendar year of 2023. I'm sure you also saw at least a few movies and played a few games during the year, so let me know some of your favorites. And with that, I officially bid farewell to 2023. Now let's see what 2024 has to offer. Whatever I end up watching or playing, I'll be sure to comment on it in my standard 50-word format at regular intervals. In the meantime, feel free to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.